Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajim. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi zidni ilma, Rabbi irzuqni ilma. Allahumma arnil haqqa haqqan warzuqna ittiba'a wa arnil batila batilan warzuqna ijtinaba. Wa tawakkal ala wa kafa billahi wakila. Subhanallahi wa bihamdihi subhanallahi al-azim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammad. I don't know if we've caught on to this secret thus far, but most of these sessions are not knowledge sharing sessions because knowledge is limited, and knowledge, the actual knowledge, the knowledge of insan is a flicker of a flame before it dries out as we light a matchstick. And the only real knowledge is in the knowledge of Al-Hakim and Al-Alim, which we do not have access to. So these are not knowledge sharing sessions, but are mostly journeys. And when I say journeys, it's as if, for me, it's as if there is a supernova galaxy, like supernova, full of galaxies that we have been given the ability to travel to. And each galaxy is a complete universe. And each universe has these unique experiences, very visual and sensorial and full. And through each of these journeys, we are enabled to receive the experience of that journey. There is no creation in this traveling that we do. This is not us who do it. We only set the niyat, the intention. And then with that niyat is the khulja simsim. That niyat activates millions of probable highways, time and space highways, for us to travel through. And because we gather as a group, and because there is great power, subhanallah, and great barakat in the collective, when we join our intention together, then whatever is most relevant for all of us, and it's never pre-planned. So what is most relevant for all of us as a highway to take together, we end up taking that highway together. And Quran in that way, in every way, every word of Allah, and Quran as the most powerful and the most complete and the most beautiful word of Allah, is an activator of all of those highways. And so it is with great excitement that I look forward to Fridays, because I want to understand which journey do I most need to take? And who all will be traveling when I have to most take that journey? And when how that excitement manifests itself to me is in the form of a hadith or an ayah of Quran that just speaks to me. It's almost like it just reveals itself to my heart, saying, okay, why don't we take this highway today? And I'm as curious as everybody else to discover why this highway and what is the experience that we're going to be experiencing. And in today's journey, then, it is Surah Baqarah. Surah Baqarah, Ayah 256 and 257. And the Ayah is, let there be no compulsion in religion, for the truth, rushd, the word used for truth is rushd, stands out clearly from falsehood, ghai. The word used for falsehood is ghai. So whoever renounces false gods, taghut, and believes in Allah, has certainly grasped the firmest, unfailing handhold, urbatul wuska. And Allah is Sami'ul Alim, all hearing, all knowing. And it goes on to Ayah 257, which says, Allah is the Wali of the believers. Allahu waliyul ladina. He brings them out of darkness and into light. Yukhrijuhum min az-zulumati ila an-nuri. Yukhriju. As for the disbelievers, their guardians, their awliya. Again, the word used for disbelievers is also awliya, our taghut, our false gods, who take them out, yukhrijunahum, from light into darknesses. Ulaika ishabun nar. It is they who will be the residents of the fire. Astaghfirullah. Hum fiha khalidun. They will be there forever. So the origin of the universe is light. And I love the root word of Wali, different from Mawla. Both are friends. Wali and Mawla both are friends. But Wali is a friend who wants to protect you. He's a protective friend. It's an attitude that that friend has towards us. The friend that takes charge and says, this is my friend. I will take care of her. I will take care of her. I'm going to make sure that they are protected. The one who is a protective friend. A protective friend is a Wali. And Mawla is a friend who can take care of you. So the bodyguard version of a protective friend is Mawla. Subhanallah. And it's interesting that in this ayah, Allah has spoken of Wali with respect to himself as Wali of the believers. But then he goes on to say that the disbelievers, the ones living in darknesses, disbeliever is an easy checkpoint because it's easy to dismiss somebody as disbelievers. But the depth of Iman is so powerful that we all have disbelief. We all carry disbelief within ourselves, even as believers. So Allah has attributed his Wali, himself to being a Wali, to the believers, but he's saying the ones living in darknesses also have Wali. They're also following someone. They also have protective friends. And it's easy for us to dismiss the fact that there is an active war being waged by our nafs and upon our nafs. Active war every moment and every breath of our life. In this moment, there is an active war being waged upon me by the Wali of darknesses and by light. Although what is very beautiful for people of faith, people of Iman, is that they already understand that this war is supremely rigged by the Wali of light. Because it is his universe. Because the darknesses and the protective friends that they have do not have a Mawla. They have the smaller gods, the lesser gods. Gods, yes, protective gods. So Taghut is a rebellion. Taghut is had se paar hona. Tughyan has the same, it falls within the same family, Tughyan, used for Fir'aun. Okay, there's an orbit that each one of us has been created in. There's an orbit that insan has been created in. And when you try to trespass that orbit, when the sea tries to trespass the shores that have been assigned to it, there's a tughyan in the universe, not just within. There's a tughyan in the universe. The tsunami is witnessed outside, yes. It destroys and takes away homes and houses and lives outside, yes. But there is a tsunami within the sea as well. because the sea recognizes the borders, the boundaries, and the orbits that it's been created in. The sea recognizes its wali. तो एक तुग़यान बाहर आता है, हमारी जिंदगियों में आता है जब हम लोग ट्रेस पास करते हैं, और एक तुग़यान हमारे अंदर आता है जिसकी वजह से बाहर का तूफान आता है. तो जो अंदर का तुग़यान है, that is a lot more destructive and has a lot more potency, but also a lot more potential than the outside का तुग़यान, because outside के तूफान को हम कंट्रोल नहीं कर सकते. पर वो जो अंदर का तूफान है, the reason why that's happened is the अंदर का seed recognizes that I have a valley of light and that I am moving towards darknesses. And isn't it amazing? There is one light and many darknesses. Wahdiyat has many depths to it. Subhanallah. कितना आसान होता अगर हम ये कहते हैं कि अल्लाह को एक मानना सिर्फ हमारा कलमा और हमारा ईमान है. But la ilaha illallah, to say no to all, first comes no. First comes no. So to say no to all other gods but Allah is our iman. And so Allah in his raham, in his creation, in him being the creator that he is, has designed us to incline towards light, to know the wali of our light within ourselves, and yet he has designed us in acknowledgement of the fact that we'd always be pulled by the darknesses. And so in moments of extreme tension, and I love tuning into our big tragedies or big conflicts or big tower moments in our life, I love tuning into them as conflict points, as tension points. It's a creative tension point, like every good movie or every good book has a creative tension point. Everything that comes, emerges from the depth onto the surface of the sea in our life is a tension point for us. Why is it a tension point? What are the two opposing forces? Again, easy to believe or look at them as light or darknesses, but that's not true. The tension point presupposes a center. The tension point understands that there is a center and there is a pull to either this or that way. And this recognition of the center that we have, which is the wali of light, which is how we've been created and who we've been created by, and whose breath is still being breathed through us in a continuous unfolding of our human experience. This realization of who my wali is keeps me anchored, because look at the two ayah, urbatul wuska, those who believe, urbat, hold on with a firm hold. Urbatul wuska, to what? Wuska means a handhold which cannot even move an inch. It is firm and stable both physically and spiritually. Wuska is what you can see and what you cannot see. It is a firm anchor in the center, a firm anchor. Till the end of time, everything else will fall apart around it. But this wuska will not, I want to say budge, I want to say lean, but nothing. There's no concept of it changing at all. There's no concept. There's no concept. So this is the ultimate center point. Urbatul wuska. Wuska is the ultimate center point. And urbat, then hold on to it. Hold on to it like your life does depend, but hold on to this when you are in that creative tension point. Because it is not a war between light and darkness. That is a war that's already been won. Subhanallah. You know, at the time that I had asked, that I used to journey a lot within, and I had a lot of questions from my creator, because I wanted to hakul yaqeen, I wanted to experience what his universe feels like, not just the seen universe, not the seen universe at all, but the batin ki universe. I wanted to feel into what it feels like, and I said, okay, help me understand what Qayamat is. And I want to tune into the visual download of this moment right now, where there is a circle of light here on the earth. Doesn't matter how many, because a circle of light's potency is what beckons Qiyamah. And I really want us to feel into it. There is a circle of light grounded on the earth. The circle of light is always insan's heart, is always a believer's heart, is always qalbul mutmain. So there are qalbul mutmain grounded on the earth. Doesn't matter how many numbers. They are so firmly grounded on the earth. They are so deeply anchored into the earth, and they are so at union in the qalb of them, alive on this earth. They're so in union with the breath of their creator that they say now. They say now. The qalbul mutmain says now. Because the qalbul mutmain is the house of Allah. The qalbul mutmain is the breath of Allah. So the alive humans grounded on this earth say now. And when they say now, the power and the light and the grid that they have activated is so powerfully anchored that it calls upon every force in the universe to collapse onto them. They suck in. The inhale of that qalb is so strong that they suck in all universes right in the center, and there is a moment of union, qayamat, mulaqat. That is what we call qiyam. And we stay in that union for a while we meet our Allah. So the calling upon of the universes with our qalb anchored clearly onto the grid of this earth is qiyam. And we exhale, that grid of light exhales, and it's a different dimension. Because what has happened in the inhale, what we call qiyam, are all the timelines that they had ever lived, optimized and balanced back. Optimized and what we call qiyam, के scales खड़े हो रहे हैं, और ये सब कुछ कहाँ हो रहा है? उस inhale के अंदर हो रहा है. सब कुछ ऑप्टिमाइज वापस आ रहा है बैलेंस में. And when the absolute most perfect balance, what we call hisab, when everything has been put back in scale of balance, then we exhale. And that exhale is the beginning of timelessness, because in that exhale, when everything is back into balance, is a new creation. This is Qiyamah. This calling back to the center, wuska, is Qiyamah. And subhanAllah, Allah has said this in Quran. He said, we have created the human as sawa. Sawa, S-A-W-A, sawa. Sawa, balance. Absolute balance. So there's an absolute sawa, there is an absolute center, there's an absolute wuska at all times, which is beyond the war of light and darknesses. And this absolute wuska is the wali of the believers who are in the light, and is not the wali of the disbelievers who are of the darknesses. Subhanallah, the wali is not in the left or the right side. The wali is right here in the center. And when the believer holds on to the wuska, to the wali becomes protective over them. They begin to hold on to them as well. So when we hold out our hand, somebody else puts their hand in our hand. This is one moment. But then that somebody else holds on to our hand with a firm grip. So urwatul wuska is a two-way communication. Urwatul Wuska, the believer reached out to the Wali, to the center of their qalb, to the center of them, to the sawa of them. The believer reached out and Allah held on. But how is that? How is that the believer has the jurrat? How is that the believer has the tawfiq to reach out to the hand of the Wali? How? Without the Wali inviting the believer to put their hand in theirs. Subhanallah. This flow from the center to the believer, from the believer to the center, from center to the believer, this constant flow, these constant waves is the handhold, the firm handhold of the believer. And at no point does this handhold presuppose that the believer is not going to be pulled towards darknesses. At no point does this handhold presuppose that this believer is not going to be intrigued, even if they're not pulled, intrigued by other gods. Because darknesses come in many forms. Darknesses come in the form of our dreams, of our desires, of what we want, without examining why we want what we want. Our जो हमारी चाह है, that's the alchemy of desire, right? जो हमारी चाह है can either take, because we're at the time that we want, we are at the center. Why we want what we want can take us to the light or the darknesses. The same chah can take us to many gods with many stalls in that funfair of darknesses, or it can lead us, it can it can compel us to look towards the light and then hold on to it. The tughyan comes, the rebellion comes, and it is a rebellion. What are we rebelling? If there were no center, if there was no wali in the center, if it were only about light and darknesses, then it would have been a simple war, depending on who is watching the war or who is commenting on the war. If you're on the darknesses side, then light is the problem. If you're on the light side, the darkness is the problem, because they're fighting it out. There is a center. The tughyan, the rebellion, when we rebel against the center, you see, to be able to tune into this center, to be able to tune into this valley, is why we've been asked to actually do urwatul wuska, hold on for dear life, hold on for dear life. Not when we are in the light or when we're in the darknesses, but tune into the fact that we have a center. We may be far away from it, or we may not even be able to see it. But the fact, when we believe that we don't have a center, when we believe we don't have the organizing force, the divine force, the wali, right here in the center of us, that is tughyan. Tughyan is not, and I want tughyan or taghut is not being pulled by the darknesses. That is not rebellion. That is not rebellion. अल्लाह इतने छोटे नहीं है कि वो कहीं तुम डार्कनेस में चली गई हो तो मैं तुम्हारे से दोस्ती नहीं करता. ये तो नहीं है. अल्लाह है, मुझे मानो तो सही, मुझे देखो तो सही. We desire to be seen, don't we? And it is him who's saying, see me. See you as your center. See me is see you. See you is see me as your, when you see me as your center, you see you as the center. See me first. See me. He's not saying don't do this. He's not saying don't go towards the darknesses. It's like when you go towards the darknesses, see me. Remember who I am. Remember that there is I. Remember that you have a wali. When you go towards light, remember that, see me still. Remember who I am. Remember, look at me. Remember your wali. So tughyan is not going into darknesses. Tughyan is not following darknesses. Tughyan is not even being enveloped by darknesses. The real tughyan, and we know very few, we know what that feels like. The real tughyan in insan feels like absolute rejection of the fact that there is a center. And that manifests itself in absolute this Fir'aun. It manifests itself as Fir'aun. वो कि कौन सी वो हद है जिसको मैं पार नहीं कर सकता. वो कौन सी ऊंचाई है जिसको मैं नहीं हाथ लगा सकती, वो कौन से पारे हैं जो मेरे पास, वो क्या चीज है जिसको मैं कॉन्कर नहीं कर सकती। ये दिस rejection of the center is the one. But for the rest of us, before I move on to the rest of us, I know some of us at some point in our life have also rejected the center. And in us rejecting the center still does not move. And especially those born into faith or have chosen this faith, which is Islam. The center not only does not move, it keeps sending these signals, which, depending on how far we are, the further away we are, if we've been born into this religion, the further away we are, the stronger the current of that signal. It hurts us even more. Interestingly, we think that if we're really, really far away from the center, then it would not hurt us as much. But if we've been born into this faith, or if we have chosen this faith in our awareness, then the further away we are, the stronger the signal bites and stings into us, because it wants to hook us back into the center. The closer we are, the gentler the signal. The Wali is a protective friend. अगर एक माँ एक समंदर के शोर पे खड़ी हुई है और उसका बच्चा सिर्फ लहरों के like just near the shore and just playing by the shore, she'd be reading a book and she'd be keeping an eye, and she'd probably occasionally call out, "Hey, don't go too far into the sea." That's okay. A little circuit around that we do around the center, a little I don't know, like a tourist boat that we take in the darknesses around the center, just for, let's see. That current इतनी जोर का नहीं लगता, because Allah is या रहमान या रहीम, वो माँ है जो बैठ के अपनी किताब पढ़ रही है, आप नजर आपके ऊपर है, प्रोटेक्टिव है वो, लेकिन नजर आपके ऊपर है, बट पैनिक नहीं उन्होंने किया इस वक्त. But when the child begins to go deeper, and it's her child, absolute ownership, mine. Wali is a complete antithesis of hyper independence. Wali does not give us independence in that way. Wali is like, you're my friend, I will protect you. Takes the onus of protection upon itself. So that protective mother, who, when she sees her child going further into the sea, she will panic and she will run and she will yank and she'll be like, "Oh my God, why would you do that?" Like the shock that the child would also have in being yanked in by the mother, who is panicked and worried and worried and worried. The child will also feel her shock and her trauma, right? Will also get into that. This shock waves that we feel when we as believers are further away from the center are even more intense than those when we're nearer the center. But the fact that there is a center, and the fact that anything that is not the center is tughyan, is taghut. Sorry, anything that is not the center is taghut. And again, in the bigger picture, taghut would be anything that oppresses the human soul. From what? If the human soul is created in balance, what does oppression mean? Anything that calls out or pulls us towards imbalance is taghut. Anything that takes us away from this place of balance is taghut. We would like to call it, sometimes we get overwhelmed with things, overwhelmed even as mothers when we are absolutely in love with our children, or overwhelmed as people when we're in love with other people and we find something really beautiful. Even as soul friends, we feel overwhelmed with this feeling. Subhanallah, I have found another soul who sees me and who's with me on the journey. So this sense of being overwhelmed is still a taghut. Because what it's doing is it's taking us away from the center. It's pulling us to another side of us, which is not here. And all that is here. So the absence of taghut is now. The only place where there is no taghut, where there is no darkness, none, is the center, and the only center is now, in this moment. And so the center does not exist as a pillar. Although when we tune into Urvatul Wuska, it would come across as a pillar, right? Like a pillar that is firm and strong, something solid that we can hold on to. But really, Urvatul Wuska is a depth that knows no ending to that depth. And the reason why it knows no ending to the depth is the darkness and the light that exists on both sides of the center. Both the darkness and the light also know no depth. There is no end to the darknesses, and there is also no end to the light. And there's also no end to Urvatul Wuska. And it is this tension point that we're asked to stand in awareness of when we say live in the now. What we're saying is Urvatul Wuska. What we're saying is hold on to what is right now. What we're saying is in this moment, only here there cannot be any Dawood, because only here is the center. And in this center, all there is your Wali. All there is in the center is your Wali. There is no war being waged of light and darkness. Not here, not in the center. There's no tension point. There are no boats waiting for you to embark on your journeys on. There is nothing here but you, but your Wali. Your Wali. And your ke andar, for him to be the Wali, my Wali, from me, my Wali, not the Wali, for all Mu'mineen, my Wali, who is protective over me. And now when I have a desire in this mind now, I'm not the one responsible for fertilizing, for bringing it to fruition. My protective friend is responsible for, because my protective friend is protective also on my over my desire. My protective friend is protective over my dreams. My protective friend is protective over my happiness. My protective friend is protective over my satisfaction. My protective friend is protective over my stability, over my sukoon, over my safety. My protective friend is, my protective friend now is responsible for everything that Matiha holds within herself. And not only is he my Wali, he is also my Mawla, the one capable of activating everything that I hold within myself, activating it fully and completely in ways that I cannot even imagine. Forget I don't have the ability to, of course not, but in ways I cannot even imagine. And remember, Wali is the one who speaks on your behalf, who is your representative, who does things on your behalf, who fixes things as a Mawla, but who is in charge of your affairs on your behalf. Subhanallah. The same Wali who is also your Wakil. Not only is he in charge, he will speak up on your behalf, Wakil, he will fight on your behalf. Subhanallah. Subhanallah. Ya Wali, Ya Wakil, he will fight. He will fight on the Wakil like a Wakil does. He will go to any universe. He is the creator of what a Wakil. Subhanallah. The creator of all universes will bring down his own universes and recreate new universes as Madiha's Wakil. And Madiha would not even know. Madiha would say, Subhanallah, I wanted this and it happened. What has my Wakil done to make it happen for me? Will I know? One day, yes. When we inhale in Qiyam, he will show us. Subhanallah, he will show. He will lift the veils and he will show us in ways that he was my Wali. In ways that he was my Wali. In moments that I was broken and I was on the floor and I was crying out to him. मेरी जो निदा निकल रही थी, या अल्लाह व्हाई मी, या अल्लाह व्हाई हियर, या अल्लाह नॉट मी, या अल्लाह हेल्प मी, वो उस मोमेंट में और उस मोमेंट से पहले, how he was my wali, I will be sure. How in that moment he was my wali. How in that moment he placed this and that and this across multiple universes and multiple hearts as my wali. Because in that moment when I connected to Urwatul Wuska, in that moment when I did not even connect to it from my place of faith, I did not say, Ya Allah, Alhamdulillah. No, I was angry and I was upset and I was like, why me? Why me? You are not okay. You are not fair. You're not right. Why? I was not, but I had connected back to my center. How? Not in my lightness or my darkness. No, I had just connected back to my center because I acknowledged that there is a center. I acknowledge that there is a power at play. I acknowledge that he has the power to do things. And I acknowledge the fact that he has the same one who has the power to do things has the power to change things. I acknowledge my center. And in the moment of me acknowledging my center, my Wali came into play. And my Wali said, let me. You called out to me. I acknowledge my center. It does not matter how you call out to me. This is us who judge ourselves on how we speak into our Rabb. मेरी बात सुने. एज इंसान हमारे बहुत तरीके हैं. अपने नबी मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम, अपने प्रॉफिट से और उनके सारों से हमारा एक अदब है. बट वो अदब अल्लाह के साथ कोई तो एक ऐसी जगह हो. देयर मस्ट बी अ स्पेस, एंड दिस इज माय रिलेशनशिप विद माय अल्लाह. देयर मस्ट बी अ स्पेस. देयर हैज टू बी अ स्पेस where I don't have to pretend and I don't have to do this adab. And I don't have to say, no, thank you, please. No, I want to be raw and I want to be like as demonic as the demons that I carry within myself. And I want you to stand witness over each and every demon. And you say, I am your wali over this demon, and I'm your wali over that demon, and I'm your wali over that demon. And I want you to be my wali on every demon that I hold. There must be a place where you don't ask me for adab. Yes, I love you. Of course, in love, there is great honor. But in this moment of absolute wreckage, a shipwreckage in the sea, I just want something to hold on to. And he says, Wali, hold on to me, Gurvatul Vaska. Doesn't matter how many darknesses we have traveled through. Doesn't matter how many darknesses we are holding within ourselves. He's not saying, hold on to me by doing this, and you can only hold on to me when you do this, and wazu karke hold on to me. No, blanket. Urvatul Vuska, just hold on. Nothing else. Urvatul Vuska, hold on. Whichever depth that we're in, whichever place we're in, no matter how far, no matter how close we are, just hold on. In this moment, just hold. It is this Wali, the protective friend, who's not going to ask anything from us in this moment. It is this friend who is our center. It is when we forget that we have this friend. It is when we begin to look for this Wali in our parents and in our relationships and in our siblings and in our friendships and in our offices and in our communities and in our soul communities and spiritual communities and yoga communities and meditation communities and soul medicine communities. And it's when we begin to look for these, Wali there, that means ke hum log ne apna center bhul gaye. Because when we begin to assign this center to bulbule, hum sab bulbule hain. We're all just like foam. All of us are just foam. How can we assign a center to a foam? It's when we begin to assign this heavy, like now if this center feels like, because it is solid and it is immutable and it cannot move till the end of time. It is that center, right? That energetic grid, solid and clear, jiski jo center mein hai, sari kainatein, all time and space, every breath is around this center. Ye is solidity ko feel into the solid, the heaviness and the weight of this center. हम एक पानी के बुलबुले के ऊपर रखेंगे, चाहे वो हमारे पेरेंट्स हैं, चाहे हमारे बच्चे हैं, चाहे हमारे स्पाउसेस हैं, हमारे, कि आप मेरा सेंटर बन जाए. हाँ, they will break. Forget everything. Allah has nothing to do with this, by the way. That's like, doesn't matter what you're trying to do. Like the center remains the center, but they break. They break when we want our Wali in this dunya to be our Wali. They're bulbule. And Allah bless them for being the bulbuli that we are and for the bulbula that I am. But they're still bulbuli. They can't hold the center. like a very diluted, watered down, reflected version of a wali might be our brothers and our parents and our husband, our fathers and our husbands and our sons later. A very like, how much can a bubble hold on to? But we have a center. Ah, and when we begin to dance around the center, oh, subhanallah. And we say, okay, you know what? You are the wali. Then there is a pull from the darknesses that comes. There's a pull from the darknesses because the dunya, we are in a wounded state. Na? तो दुनिया तो बुलाएगी उनके बरहक है और हमें दुनिया ने बुलाना है और हमने उसका जवाब भी देना है ये भी बरहक तो ये तो हमने सपोज करना ही नहीं है ना कि जस्ट बिकॉज वी आर अवेयर ऑफ आवर सेंटर जस्ट बिकॉज वी होल्डिंग ऑन टू आवर सेंटर जस्ट बिकॉज हमने उसका नेक्टर पिया हुआ है जस्ट बिकॉज हमने उसका दूध पिया हुआ है हमने अपनी माओ के भी दूध पिया है कितना को ऑनर हमने दिया अपनी माओ को या हमने दूध पिलाए हुए हैं हमें कितना दैट डजंट मैटर क्योंकि जब एक आवाज आती है एकदम से हमारा वहां पे जाता है अटेंशन वहां पे जाती है और फिर कभी कभी आवाज बहुत प्यारी है कभी कभी वो विजुअल भी बहुत प्यारा है वो चीज भी बड़ी प्यारी आप कहते हैं अल्लाह ताला 1 सेकंड में आती 2 सेकंड के लिए ना आप वहां पे जाते हो अपने पैडल बोट में उस पर्टिकुलर फेयर के वो ट्रैवलिंग फेयर जो आया हुआ है यहाँ पे फ्लोटिंग ट्रैवलिंग फेयर आया हुआ है हम लोग 2 सेकंड के लिए वहां पे जाते हैं बरहक है अल्लाह ताला ने ये सपोज नहीं किया हुआ कि हमने but the thing is when we begin to go to that when we go to that particular float for example a floating fair on that sea and we say oh wow this has all the ingredients of what I'm getting from the center it feels sweet it feels stable it feels good मेरा पेट भी भरा हुआ है यहाँ पे हवा भी उतनी ठंडी है I think I'll stay here for a while. I think I'd like for this to start giving me things that I was getting from there. There being my wali, there being my center, there being my Allah, there being my qalbul mutmain. तो वहां पे जब तो हम लोग अपनी पूरी एक्सपेक्टेशन का बोझ उस फ्लोट के ऊपर डालना शुरू कर whether that's a relationship or a desire manifested or unmanifested doesn't matter तो जब हम लोगों ने अपना पूरा weight it begins to sink and then we panic it's like wow why is this sinking I really liked it don't sink and when it sinks then we struggle it's like oh my god now I don't have a center and then we realize again we could pull back okay I do have a center I know what that's and we come back and so Allah does not suppose that this journey back and forth from the center to there and from center will not happen and so the only thing that Allah has asked from us is stand in awareness of the fact that you have a center. Stand in awareness for the fact that and the center is Allah. The center is our relationship with Allah. And so the simplest application that we can use for understanding how the center translates into all other aspects of our life is whatever you have as a most wounded relationship in your life, or the absence of relationship in your life, whatever you don't have in your life in terms of a relationship with another human being, that is what you don't have with Allah first. Because you don't have that with Allah, therefore you don't have that in that relationship. You see, it's not that that relationship does not have what it takes. It's as if we don't have that aspect of that relationship with Allah, and therefore that relationship does not have what it takes. So if there is any aspect of our relationship that's wounded, the question to ask of ourselves is, what is this wounded relationship telling me about my wounded relationship with my Allah? As big of a fantastical leap of faith it does, even if that it sounds like that. Like Allah has nothing to do with, abusive parents, abusive spouses, or narcissistic friends, or like narcissistic job places. But Allah has nothing to do with this. But yet you will see that when you ask this question, okay, the reason why this wounded relationship, I'm experiencing this wounded relationship is because I actually am carrying this wound in my relationship with Allah. That is when we begin to understand, subhanallah, कि हमारी अपनी relationship कितनी wounded है अल्लाह के साथ. कि हम लोग कह तो रहे हैं कि अल्लाह ताला हमें कह तो रहे हैं और वो तो उसका होल्ड ऑन हमें बता भी रहे हैं कि डार्कनेस है, लेकिन we don't trust that center to not sink also. That's why we're expecting things to end even before they begin, because we actually don't trust, and you begin to see that this sense of mistrust that we bring to our relationships, this sense of instead of assuming the best out of anybody else that we're in a relationship with, whether it's our parents or children, whatever, we assume the worst first, is because that is our relationship with Allah. It defines our relationship with Allah. We expect Him to let go of we expect Him to test us. And that's not, Allah has not said, I will test you. Allah says, like, dunya will test you. My urvatul wuska is constant. Allah Ta'ala is not the great tester. Like, he's not the invigilator. He's not the exam board. That's not, dunya is the exam board. And in this complete madness of the exam board, there is one constant which Allah is saying, I am. So our relationship with Allah is the one which is primarily wounded. And it is that wounded relationship that we want to heal. SubhanAllah, we want to heal through all the other wounded relationships that we have. And that's why it feels so good to be able to either receive or release a wounded relationship. Receive a healed one or release a wounded relationship. Because what's actually happening is we're healing our relationship with Allah. Because remember, in the very beginning, SubhanAllah, when we were created, Allah Ta'ala did not say, आप लोग किन किन लोगों से जाके प्यार करोगे, किन की माएं बनोगे, कौन आपके बच्चे होंगे, उस वक्त, in that first moment. ये सब कुछ बाद में हिसाब किताब के साथ कोई decision हुई नहीं थी, by the way. So free will started at the time of our creation and not the time of our birth. But SubhanAllah, in this moment, so Allah Ta'ala did not ask कि ये सब कुछ क्या होगा, कैसे कैसे आप मुझे, नहीं. Allah Ta'ala is like, आपका रब कौन? It's like, you are. Will you remember who I am? Yes, I will. So it's like, okay, then help me send you people who will help you remember who I am. SubhanAllah. And not just who I am, but also let me send you people who will reflect to you the wounds that you hold in relation to me. So basically, we came here to heal our relationship with Allah Ta'ala. And we came here to heal our relationship with Allah Ta'ala on behalf of all our ancestors who did not have, SubhanAllah, the resources to be able to do so. So we're here to heal. So every relationship we're experiencing, we're actually either we're given the opportunity to heal our relationship with our Creator. That's all we're ever doing through any relationship, which is why we ask, like, can you see the most beautiful Wali of Allah? The most beautiful Wali of Allah have all said one thing, SubhanAllah, which is see the divine in the human. See the divine in the human. Why? Because that's exactly what we're here to do. We have, like, if we don't like somebody, what is it about them that's reminding me of my relationship with them? What part of me that I feel my Allah does not like about me? That is why you don't like them. It's not about them. Release them from our healing journey. They're not a part. No human being is a part of our healing, not a part of our healing journey. They're an activator for us, and that's it. Because we're not actually healing our human relationships. We're actually healing our relationship with Allah. And now tune into SubhanAllah, when we begin to actually treat people from a place of honor. You have been sent here because I have another opportunity given to me by my Wali to heal my relationship with him. And I begin to heal my relationship with him. It translates into a healed relationship with our human. Because Allah is not a Zat that can be contained in any form, in any container, not even in the human heart, not the entirety of Him. And so He will make Himself manifest in one human heart to bring to you one aspect of it, healed or wounded. And when we heal it, He releases Himself back to another human being to show you the healed aspect of Him, Subhan, of your relationship with Him, SubhanAllah. It's a constant dance. It's a constant flow. And so the honor and the sajda, I don't want to use it because honor is beautiful and big and powerful and strong for me, but now I want to start using the sajda of this moment. Because what does honor invite us to do? And honor invites us to lay down our arms. That's what honor invites us. Real honor invites us to not fight, to lay down our arms. When it comes to another human, when it comes to any aspect of this moment, any aspect of the contents of this moment that we're experiencing. हमने इससे लड़ना नहीं है. जो इस वक्त मेरी जिंदगी में चीज आई है, हमने इससे लड़ना नहीं. बस. That's what honor invites us to do. I want to honor this moment. It means कि I want to submit to. It means it's sajda. So the sajda of this moment that we're invited to do is there is a Kaaba, which is Urvatul Wuska, which is within each of our, built into us, given to us as a gift, much before the Kaaba of this world. We know what that center is. And even when our nafs rebels and wants to pick up a sword and fight with what we have right now, fight with people, fight with the circumstances of the world, fight with how unfair it is, fight, fight, fight. Even when our nafs wants to do it, it'd be really nice. It'd be really nice. और हल्की सी हंसी भी आ जाती है जब आपने चीजें दुनिया को चेंज करना होता है ना, उस मोमेंट में जब आपने दुनिया को चेंज करना है, अपने 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 you've unsheathed your sword, you know, and you put on your armor. It's like, I'm going to change the world. And you unsheath your sword, साथ ही आपके सामने नजर आपके सेंटर में बैठती है, which is Allah Ta'ala is just looking at you. It's like, oh my God, that's so cute. Madhya, you're so cute. You want to change the world. That's so cute. Allah Ta'ala is like, that's so cute. And in this moment of sajda, it's like, what in it, what in you do you want to change that you don't have to pick up the sword for? When you sit here in front of me, what in it, what in you is it that you want to change, that I can help you change? And when you shift, because remember, when I shift, when my heart shifts, then I am vibrating at the frequency of, but reaching for the frequency of Qalbul Mutmain. And remember, it is this vibration of ultimate light, ultimate, powerful, grounded, potent light that will activate Qiyamah. Subhanallah. The qalb of the fear. This is that vibration that I'm reaching for in this moment. And I say, okay, you know what? I don't need to unsheath my sword. I don't need to unsheath my sword. And before I wrap up, I want to share this. I want to share how when we are in the center and we have a call, it doesn't matter how beautiful that call is, but that call wants, it's the call has the power to shift us away from the center. And say we're really scared of answering that call because we know what our center is. Say we've been on this journey of Iman for a while and Allah Ta'ala has been, us being on the journey is not important. The fact that He enabled for us to remain here, unka karam hai कि आपको इस journey के ऊपर. So say that you don't want to leave the center. Say you still want to stay in control of the center, but stay you're still distracted. तो हम लोग करते ही हैं. Now this is for desires, right? When you have desire, new desire, करते ही हैं. जो मुझे आज सुबह अपने बारे में मालूम हुआ है कि आप खड़े वहीं पे हैं. You still pretending to yourself that you're in the center, but you send out your fans towards your desire. We're very smart. I love the nafs of us. The nafs is just so smart and so powerful. नहीं नहीं हम तो नमाज, मैं अपने बारे में बात करी, नहीं नहीं मैं तो नमाज पढ़ी हूँ, नहीं नहीं मैं तो उसके ऊपर एक्ट ही नहीं कर रही हूँ, नहीं नहीं मैंने तो कुछ भी नहीं, मैंने तो ये करना है. But even in all of this, these veils that I've put upon myself, what I've done is, because I'm attached to that desire, I have sent out my fangs, my tentacles, and I have attached myself, literally, physically attached myself to that. And this morning, Allah Ta'ala is like, okay, let's not pretend play anymore. Let's not pretend that you are trying to, that you have released that your attachment to the desire. Look at the fangs and look at how you've sent out your tentacles to that desire. Call them back in. So it actually felt like जब हम लोग किसी को हमें कोई चीज चाहिए होती है तो हमें उसके अंदर अपने नाखून खोस, like energetically, we put our fangs in that thing. We really do, energetically. And so this morning I was asked to pull back my fangs back at the moment. Subhanallah. And I did, और उसमें पूरे पूरे होल, जब वापस आए ना तो वहां पे पूरे पूरे होल्स थे मेरी बॉडी का. It's around my, right below my waistline, around my belly button, so my sacrum. Obviously वो है center, emotional center भी है, feminine भी है, सब कुछ. So anyway, so वहां से मेरे फैंस वापस आए, वहां पे पूरे होल्स थे और फिर उनको अल्लाह ने या रहमान या रहीम, मैंने अल्लाह ताला को या I was asked to recite या रहमान या रहीम, so I can close, Allah Ta'ala can close those holes for me. And then the question that I was asked to ask, कि क्या चाहिए आपको बाबी जो आपको यहाँ से नहीं मिल रहा? यहाँ मतलब आपके वली से, यहाँ मतलब आपको क्या चाहिए? What are you looking for? The question for me comes back again and again. Allah Ta'ala, do you really see me? I know that I am speaking on your behalf, and I know you've enabled me to speak for you, on about you, not for you, sorry, about you. And I know that I love you, but do you really see me? Or am I just a blob in like a mass of people and somebody are like more brighter than others? Like, do you see me? This desire to be seen by our Allah would take us to places we can, in a lot of our world today, especially in the world of social media, is that this desire to be seen by others is why? Because we don't feel seen by our belly. We don't feel seen by. And which is why, Ya Samiul Alim, I know, and I'm hearing in the ayah also, it's like, I know, Alim, I know what you want. Listen to Sami, I do listen to what you hold on. For now, you just hold on. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi.